Negative interest rates are flowing through the veins of this rotten corpse of an economy. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Let's look at what negative interest rates have done. It wasn't too long ago where it was said that negative interest rates were not going to happen. Of course they were going to happen. Then it was don't worry because it's only a small percentage and it does not affect you as an individual. And people were literally screaming and yelling, frothing at the mouth, trying to deny that this would be imposed on individuals, yet here it is today. And it's not in some little country out on the far corners of the world. This is happening all throughout the world right now. Let's move into it, first beginning with this RBS to impose negative interest rates on some clients. Yes, it is just a small select few people, but it continues. It snowballs. It's not just one bank anymore. It's not just one country anymore. It's not just on bonds sold to investors. This is making its way to the individual. Royal Bank of Scotland says it will charge on some corporate customers for accepting their deposits, the first UK bank to impose so-called negative rates after the Bank of England slash borrowing costs to spur investment. That's right. Continue to do that. And the investment continues to get worse, but let's just continue that policy so we can destroy everything intentionally. RBS was bailed out by taxpayers during the financial crisis. And that is one important thing to note. As we see that these big banks that make billions of dollars in profits every single year somehow are able to then get the bailouts and they return to their old habits over and over again. Let's look at the next one as we see Royal Bank of Scotland and basically talking about how they're starting to charge major financial institutions for any cash it holds on their behalf for trading purposes in the latest illustration of impact of Mark Carney's post-Brexit vote stimulus package. And what we're talking about here is, look, the economy is worse, blaming it on the Brexit, and they're saying, look, we need to just impose these negative rates on the individuals. That's somehow going to fix everything. Sure, it's only 70 RBS customers, but that snowballs. And this isn't the first time something like this has happened. Then we have the Bank of Ireland telling customers that it's the result of the European Central Bank's decision earlier this year to levy a negative interest rate of 0.4% overnight deposit, saying that this might have been its parent, Royal Bank of Scotland, testing the waters as it emerged on Friday, and it goes on. And what we see here is a policy being applied globally. It's not just Europe. It's not just one part of the world, just the West, or just these people. It's everyone. Policies are developed globally. You may see little bits of, rhetoric here and there about countries disagreeing with other countries, but it's global policies. Let's grow up here, everyone. Looking at the BBC, what I wanted to note, all that I wanted to know from this article, in fact, was in the Eurozone, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland, and Japan, central banks have decided to have negative interest rates on commercial banks' excess funds held on deposit at the central bank. In effect, private sector banks have to pay to park their money. So where is the incentive for investment? Where is that incentive when you don't have any profit to be made? In fact, you're going to lose money. In the case of Sweden, the central bank has gone below zero on the rate it lends money to the banks, its main policy tool. These are the kind of things that destroy economies, and that's the intention here. That is the purpose of this. Look at this here. More countries, just to list a few. Denmark, Belgium, and now the Netherlands. Negative mortgage rates spread across Europe. Think about that for a second. You want to buy a house. You can't do so because that interest rate is going to burden you over the long term. But what if the bank paid you to take out that mortgage? Suddenly, things have changed. And this is exactly what they're trying to do intentionally to fuel the bubbles. Look for this in Canada because, you need to have the ridiculous policies put in place by those in control. And what do? They take whatever is a problem and they find a way to pour gasoline on top of it and light that baby on fire. And that is exactly what this is. They're trying to impose negative interest rates basically to keep their currencies at bay. Try to say, don't invest with us. We don't want a strong currency. That's somehow bad. And that therefore will just, make you lose money if you're going to put your money with us. And this is the kind of thing that just, I understand in a way what they're trying to do, but at the same time, it is completely flawed. Let's move on here. Next article, Denmark. The land below zero. Right. Now this is actually a very funny article. I think there was a comedy routine here. Where negative interest rates are normal, not normal, but that's what they're saying. Denmark has been an upside down world for longer than any country, yet the sky hasn't fallen yet. What they're trying to do is use Bloomberg as part of the propaganda arm for the governments around the world. They're saying, look, nothing is wrong in Denmark. We have negative interest rates, and that is not a problem. Everything is just fine. Look, all these buildings, they're still here. The cars are driving. The people are going to work, and everything is a-okay. But that's not how it works. You run these stagnant economies for such long periods of time when it's better to just feel the pain, feel the burn for a short period of time, and in let's say a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it might be, everything could return to normal and the growth can actually excel beyond where it is over a relatively short period of time. But that's not what they do. They are not there to even just pump up the stock markets. That's not the purpose of all of these financial games that they play. The purpose, of course, is to steal wealth from the individual and pass it on to the elite of the elite, as they like to refer to themselves as. Last but not least, my home country, Canada. Everyone loves them. Peaceful bombing in Libya, peaceful bombing everywhere else. Just had to throw that in. And what we are looking at is CIBC becoming the first Canadian bank to sell bonds with a negative yield. That's right, joining the crew, joining the club. You want to be cool, you have to sell negative rates. Buy into these negative rates. You can invest money with them and you will get a guaranteed loss. How does that sound? Sounds pretty good. Okay, hand over your money. Well, that's what these trillions of debt now being sold at a negative rate, and here it is in Canada as well, just joining all along. And if you somehow think that every country applies policies differently, you really need to understand the supranational organizations, whether it's the G20, whether it's the G8. We look at the IMF, even look at the policies that they try to force down countries' throats at the UN. Look at all of these and you will see the disaster that they are trying to cause, and they are doing so rather effectively. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found this video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. Head over to Amazon. I have a look inside feature, which will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Now, some of the individuals out there have been asking me about Steemit. And they're saying, do you have a Steemit account? I just created one yesterday. I threw a couple posts up on there. So if you want to check that out, I'll have the link in the description below. For those who don't know, think of like sort of Bitcoin meets social media. And so you do a post. If people sort of promote that post, it generates income through Bitcoin, and then of course that goes on from there. So if you're interested in that, check it out, and it will be in the description of this video